Welcome back to Tabletop Assault. I'm David.
I'm Ross.
And today we're bringing you our first impressions of the brand new, ta-da, 9th edition Chaos Space Marines Codex.
It's been a bit of a wait for this one.
Yeah, try not to think about it anymore.
Yeah.
Well, now I'm happy now, but beforehand it was like an afterthought.
Well, yeah, I mean, Chaos Space Marines had a bit of difficulty. People argue they got an update in 2019, but getting, an Abaddon Obliterators and Havoc update and Enchants is not a new codex.
Nah.
They've really been waiting 5 years for this, nearly. The first one was 2017, 8th edition launch.
I think you've been waiting about 5 years. I just gave up after a while and moved to other armies, unfortunately.
That has been a large part of the case for you. I have realised you haven't played Chaos Space Marines for ages. So yeah, it would be good to have an updated rules, hopefully see a bunch of new stuff that will really bring them more in line with our other forces.
Yeah, I think so far, just so you know, we've had a wee heads up in this as well. We've had a wee play test as well as some of the rules in here, so we've got all our opinions, good, some bad. But yeah, there's a whole bunch of new stuff in here. We will caveat this straight away by saying there's been a lot of leaks.
Well, this is a large part of why we're doing this format. Usually, it used to be I'd go into a huge amount of depth and effort to bring you all the updated rules, but in all honesty, much of the rules that we had leaked well over 6 months ago.
Yeah, they've been out for a while now.
They're true, and that's a problem for Games Workshop. But it means that we're just going to give you an impression video than anything else, and let you know what we think on a more personal side than an analytical side.
What we like as players,
Yeah, as players.
And also a quick shout out, big thank you to Games Workshop for sending us a free copy of the book first and foremost. It's always nice when they send us these nice goodies for us to have a look at and review and give not just you our thoughts, but we also pass on some of our thoughts to them as well. So thank you very much for the free copy. But without further ado, should we crack on? And I think first of all you wanted to talk about...
So the first thing I always will try with Chaos Knights is I tried to see where my concerns going from the old codex to the new one might be. In Chaos Knights there was a few rules I was like, how are they going to tackle this? With this book I was just like, the whole thing needs updated. You still were playing Legion rules that didn't involve your vehicles, only your infantry, Hellbrutes, bikes and Demon Prince benefited. Space Marines had that fixed a long time ago. There was just so much about the codex that needed updated, so I'm just glad, there was no real problems from before because there was too many. It's just good to get them updated. So the first bit I like to go into is Legions. Let's talk a wee bit about them. What I like to do is choose two of them that we like and talk about that. Now, two things to note beforehand. One, there is no, as far as I know, creating your own Legion.
No, there isn't a create your own Legion, but that's sort of...
And is this the first codex in I think in this whole edition they don't have that. And I'm fine with that because it also now kind of has the supplements to every faction in this book. So every faction, bar Creations of Bile and Red Corsairs, gets, I think, 8 stratagems, 6 warlord traits, and 6 relics. So no more spread out supplements and campaign books. Everything in Chaos, and frankly possibly going forward, bar Army of Renown, is in this book.
I would agree. I think this will be the new format. There is no way to create your own sort of faction. What you get is what's in the book now, but I think it's justified because you started to see from 9th edition when the codexes were coming out multiple Legion rules, like tiered Legion rules, like Ulthwé has 4 Legion rules, for example. So you were already getting a lot of customization within that dedicated Legion, having its own stratagem table now as well, which is not just 1 or 2 stratagems, it's a whole table of stratagems, warlord traits. You don't really need to create your own now. You've got so much variety within the current set.
I think this actually pushes more towards the playstyle you want. I've always quite liked supplements, is that if you want to play a certain Legion with a different playstyle, Night Lords really pushes the sort of terror factor. Iron Warriors has warlord traits, relics all designed towards them. Really, I like it because it kind of pushes towards play one Legion and here's a bunch of rules that take the generic Chaos Space Marines, but also your Legion rules, and really pushes it up a wee bit more. I really like that, and I hope they kind of do that going forward, is that here's the play style of the Legion you like, here is a small amount of rules extra. 6 warlord traits, 6 relics and 8 stratagems is a lot, but as long as you're playing one Legion, I think that's quite good. And it's in one book.
It's definitely, I'll be surprised if this isn't the way going forward.
The one other thing I'm going to caveat before we start on that is, some people have already noticed this, and when I got this book and I was writing up my review, I said, Iron Warriors, reduce AP -1 and -2 by 1. And I said, well, that's a problem because Armour of Contempt does not stack with that. And I said, they're going to have to address that, and they already did in the data slate. So they already addressed the problem before the Codex came out. They knew that wouldn't work.
Yeah.
And they've changed that Iron Warriors one to you can't reroll wounds against them, which is terrible because there's not many things that can reroll wounds. There is I think there's more things happening, but I would have preferred something like they couldn't be wounded on 1s and 2s, and like any infantry couldn't be wounded on 1s and 2s, and then maybe them in bikers, and then like vehicles 1, 2s and 3s, bit like Tyranids have that.
Yeah.
I think that would have been better than you can't reroll wounds.
I think the thing is, I think the reason why they've not done that is because there's already access to get that just by marks.
Yeah,
essentially.
yes, there is.
So there's already a few ways you can kind of achieve the same result. But yeah, definitely something like that would have been nice.
But they already had a mistake before the get-go, and
good way to start.
Fair enough. Armour of Contempt, I really truly believe, was written and decided after this was probably printed. I think this was printed probably months ago. I forgot the history in the printing environment.
The leaks alone started months ago.
The leaks alone, and it takes a while sometimes for manufacturers' books and stuff. So fair enough. Right, let's go into the things we like. So I will go first.
Yeah, you go first.
So the two, I will go with one, you can go with one. The one I actually really liked is Word Bearers.
Okay.
So I'm looking at this book as a very combat heavy force. You can do ranged, but I think there's a lot pushing towards combat, and they've kind of always been that way. So Word Bearers have, if they were charged, they can reroll hit rolls. So essentially first round of combat, having access to lots of reroll hits, very helpful. And they can ignore mortal wounds in a 5+. And I think that against certain forces, that's not going to be useful. But now you're seeing Tyranids really mount up in terms of mortal wounds.
Yeah.
I think that's very, very useful.
I think they ignore mortal wounds. That's more their flavour Legion rule, to be honest.
Yes.
Like Word Bearers, religious sort of way, religious zeal. That's probably their flavoursome rule.
So having that reroll hits in the first round of combat and 5+ ignore, I think is very helpful. They have a great Warlord trait, which is Exalted Possessed. It gives them... So on the Warlord trait, as I said, this gives you Exalted Possessed, Demon, 4+ invul, +1 to your strength, attack, wound, and movement. On a Demon Prince, that is bringing them up to the glorious strength 8 before weapons, upgrades their invul slightly, they get an 4+ invul against ranged, and just makes them even faster. So that's a good one. And then they've actually got some real good stratagems as well. Revered Host Demon, which is a unit can reroll hit and wound rolls in the fight phase. Deadly on Possessed, I believe it's that one there. So yeah, it has to be a demon unit, so Possessed, reroll hits and wounds for 2 command points. They have a stratagem which allows you to really damage Ultramarines, which you'd like, David.
I'm never going to play them, so
never. And also stratagem that you can use, and it turns 1 attack into damage 0. So you get hit by something really too hard, and you're just like, no.
And you can put that on any unit within Word Bearers?
Yeah, when attack is allocated to a Word Bearer model from your army, the damage characteristic for that attack is 0. You can only use it once in certain battles, you can use it twice in certain battles.
1 command point.
But 1 command point to essentially just go, no.
Yeah, I quite like that. And we're seeing that happening quite a lot now in Codex, is this reduced damage to 0 for the first hit as well.
For some things you are seeing a bit more. I don't think you see many of a stratagem that can straight up just do it quite like that for so cheap. But that makes Word Bearers quite, in my mind, quite a good one. Just because if you're going to be controlling the board through combat, I think Legionaries are going to be key to that. I quite like that, constantly rerolling hits.
Will I go next? I'm actually going to go with the one that we recently play tested, and it's a Legion that normally I would always shy away from.
Their last rules were terrible.
Yeah, even in general, I'm an Emperor's Children sort of guy, and then Thousand Sons were taken out the book to put in their own books, so my 2 Legions of choice kind of disappeared, down to 1. But Black Legion, thoroughly enjoyed them. Their Legion rules I actually think are really quite powerful. Their first one is obviously they ignore attrition and combat modifiers when you do your morale phase. Don't get me wrong, that's not really too powerful. It just feels Black Legion-y. You're meant to keep moving. That's their sort of stoicism. But the one that I thoroughly enjoyed, and their playtest works really well, was when attacking the closest unit. And so if it's a range attack, the closest unit, or if you're engagement range, which naturally will be the closest unit, you get +1 to your hit rolls. Which I thought was absolutely amazing.
Yeah, so I think you have to make a charge move to get it as well.
If you're doing the engagement one.
If you're doing combat,
yeah, of course. But if you're in combat, then you're going to be the closest anyway. I think it's charge move or charged, I believe.
No, it's
Oh yeah, if you make
ranged.
a charge move.
Yeah, you have to make a charge move. So it encourages you to be really aggressive, Black Legion. One thing I'd say in that one, yeah, I really like it as well. In terms of sometimes having units in the backfield, it's going to make their choice a little bit more difficult because your opponent can use a lot more screener units to really annoy you on that one. But this game is very much about board control. So I think now your opponent has to come forward, and it just gives you that option for really dealing with their front line a lot more reliably.
2 warlord traits, one that I did use that I quite liked, and then one that I didn't use, but I think it's really good, especially if I was to potentially put this on like a Demon Prince, if my Demon Prince was running my army. But the one I really liked the most was Paragon of Hatred, which was the one I used on Abby recently. So you get to reroll your charge rolls to your warlord. Additionally as well, each time your warlord fights in the engagement range of any enemy units, then until that fight is resolved, you add 1 to the attacks characteristics of your warlord, or if you're against Imperium, which is probably half the armies out there, you get D3 additional attacks. I really like that to buff my warlord. Those extra attacks go really, really well, especially synergizing with Abby.
Reroll charge is very handy.
And reroll charge is always
reroll
handy.
Is very handy. That's a command point right there.
And I use that with Grey Knights. The first of the fray for Grey Knights is always my first go-to stratagem, just for reroll charges. The second one though was Soul Eater, and this is one I'd probably like to try it with a Demon Prince. So the Soul Eater one is essentially you can reroll wounds and melee attacks.
Okay,
so with your Demon Prince, you know, you've got ways to get reroll hits, but now you're getting reroll wounds in melee, which is really good. Your Demon Prince is only going to do one thing, chop stuff up in combat anyway. So the reroll wounds is huge. But additionally as well, you can, each time your warlord fights and is finished making attacks, if one or more enemy model was destroyed, then the warlord regains up to D3 lost wounds.
Yeah, so that can keep them going. And
I tend to think, you don't get me wrong, your Demon Prince can fight against big walkers and tanks, but I always like to use my Demon Prince as a bit of a chuck him in there and start chopping up troops. And with some of the weapons he's got now, it's definitely doable, so I quite like that.
Yeah,
Soul Eater.
and
but Paragon of Hatred is the main one for me to get your warlord with lots of attacks and real charges. Stratagem wise, I'm not going to lie, actually, I wasn't actually too impressed with stratagem.
Neither was I. That largely caused them to falter weak to me.
I wasn't impressed with that. I'm actually not impressed with stratagems mainly in the Codex, if I'm being honest. It's mixed bag for me.
It's mixed bag. I'd put that as a mixed bag as well.
I can't really draw out any because I didn't even want to use any of these because they were all a bit kind of mixed.
They felt very fluffy in some way, but a lot of them I wasn't too strong on. Any relics that you're a fan of?
No, I didn't. So I didn't actually like any of the relics for these. I liked the relics which were generic.
Yep. Yes. Well,
which we'll come on to. But I'm just going to pass it on for here, though. What I will do as well, guys, just to let you know, there will be screenshots. We should have said at the start coming up, so you can have a look. But yeah, I'll pass it on to the next one for you.
So the next one, I tried to go a bit different in terms. I wanted to choose one mainline legion, but then I wanted to go to one of the other 2 last section ones, which was between Red Corsairs and Creations of Bile.
Yes.
Now, Creations of Bile I largely went like in the last one, but they are looking a bit better. But I have actually gone with Red Corsairs, David. So
oh, right, sorry.
So I have gone with Red Corsairs. So they allow you to advance and charge, which may be a bit swingy, but if you're taking certain things such as bikes, that's a lot of movement they get. I think bikes can turbo boost and they instantly get 6 inches.
Yeah, but did Red Corsairs not have that in 8th edition?
They did, but I just think it's still an absolute solid one. I'm going to check if bikes can still advance and boost in that one, because I more went for a different thing in mind.
They can, they can. They get an extra 6.
Turbo boost 6 inches. So they've got 20-inch movement without rolling, and then you can charge. Add in Astartes chainswords. You're getting in combat. Like, no question.
Well, they are trying to make bikes usable again. And Red Corsairs, what are they famous for? Bikes.
Yeah, there was a rumour that bikes were going to get new models, and that's like...
They need it.
And that's the only rumour model that didn't get updated as far as I saw.
Right, okay.
And I think it's a big mistake, because I can see potential for chainsword bikes.
Right.
The other part is that they count as 2 models for controlling objectives, or 5 if they've got 10 or more.
Huge, that's good.
That's huge. I think the way this codex works is just put models on the field and push, push, push. That can make a big difference. So I really, really like that. I fought between that and Creations of Bile, because Creations of Bile does have, it gives you +1 strength and movement, and that +1 to strength, bringing to your legionaries to 5 and your possessed to 6, really makes a difference, plus the movement. But I really like just the being able to advance and charge, and more control on the field with the Red Corsairs. One thing I may note on that, the Red Corsairs one, people might go, oh, Reaver Lord, you can get an extra command point on a 4+ at the start of your command phase. Keep in mind, you're already paying command point to take a Warlord trait, so you're only going to get 1.5x on math, 1.5 extra command point a game. So what a terrible Warlord trait that is, unless you roll 4-ups consistently. The Warlord trait, I looked at that and I'm like, you've got this paying a command point for Warlords. I don't agree with it, but that could just be me. Angel of Hatred, I said it was good. It ups your strength on that one, I believe. So yeah, if you charge first round of combat, you get +1 strength to attack. Good at upping your Demon Prince. Yeah, generally I thought quite good. And then Raid Supply Lines, which is a 2 command point stratagem, but essentially it says your first and second round of combat, you can delay one of your opponent's reinforcements.
Yep.
So your opponent's about to bring something reinforcement, 2 command point. No, you don't. That could really hinder some opponents.
Oh yeah.
An absolute key unit that may be hidden away. I know some people, I've not seen it in a long time, not done it myself, they put Magnus in strategic reserve and they keep him behind, and then because they don't want him to be shot off at turn 1, and then they bring him on turn 2. You go, how about you keep him till turn 3? And that's just going to annoy your opponent.
Turn 3's for the week.
Turn 3's for a week. So I thought that was quite good. I like their Legion trait. The Relics didn't impress me, but I really like that stratagem as well.
Interesting to note as well for the Red Corsairs and Creation of Bile, they've actually got less stratagems to choose from.
I think that's fine. They're not the main legions.
Yeah, it's like these are your 2 bonus ones in this book. It's about 8 stratagems each legion gets, and these ones get about 4 each.
In terms of actual relics and warlord traits and stratagems, I think Creation of Bile is actually better, but I just really like the advance and charge.
Yeah.
Might need to buy some bikes.
Oh, that's massive. Swords. Absolutely massive. It's a shame they didn't redo the bikes though. I do think there's a missed opportunity because bikes, that makes bikes relevant again for Chaos, which they weren't relevant for some time.
Yeah.
But advance and charge on those bikes, just get in someone's face. Maybe take a couple of flamers in some of the bikes as well if you can.
If you can. I haven't really checked. I would just take loads of Starsius chainswords because they're going to be putting out, I think, 4 attacks a piece.
Yeah. It's beautiful.
Yep.
The last one then is obviously the Emperor's Children. Not had a chance to play test this one myself though, but I actually quite like the way they do their Legion rules. So we've got, apologies here, let me get some water first.
Yeah, I would just say, maybe wait, 3 years, David, you might actually have Fulgrim.
Okay.
Don't worry, you're getting Angron soon.
Yeah, but not this year.
No, you okay.
It's an inside joke.
Yeah.
I guess when Primarchs are coming out.
Yeah.
It's not coming out this year.
And you've been pretty spot on recently. In the past couple of years.
So each time a model makes an attack, you can ignore all hit modifiers, weapon skill, ballistic skill.
Yep.
So that to me is quite essential now.
Essentially army-wide, no minuses.
Yeah, basically you've got an army of Dark Reapers. Or what was Dark Reapers, sorry. One of my biggest hatreds is when I find an army that's going to be minusing me for days, either in combat or shooting. But that makes sense. That's obviously they're meant to be perfectionists.
Yep.
They're meant to be perfect at shooting, perfect at fighting, because they're Emperor's Children. They're just not perfect at psychic, because that's Magnus.
Sure.
So I really, really like that. Each time a model with this trait makes an attack, any modified wind roll of 6, improve the AP by 1. Not as good as the first rule, but it's still a nice bonus. I don't mind that. And it makes sense because you think about it, again, they're meant to be like master swordsmen. They can find the chink in your armour.
Is that for just melee, or is it ranged as well?
It makes an attack.
Makes an attack.
So I quite like it. AP, maybe not as important as it used to be at the moment.
I'd argue it's now becoming, with Armour of Contempt, it's going back up.
Yeah, but I still think Armour of Contempt should be removed from the game. I hate it. I absolutely hate it. I still think
we disagree on that one. But
I still think toughness is king personally in the game at the moment. But I like those rules. Really, really nice. Just the ignoring the modifiers alone, I always take that over most other rules.
Do you hear that Lehman Russ has got Armour of Contempt?
Of course they did.
They're now, I think, 2-up save.
2-up save, toughness 8, Armour of Contempt. Of course they did. Mind you, if you've got a Land Raider with Armour of Contempt, toughness 9, 2-up save, you know what? The Lehman Russ is no longer my worst problem anymore.
Yeah, I forgot about that. We'll get to Land Raider.
The Land Raider is definitely my worst problem now.
Yep.
So the aura I quite like is Intoxicating Musk, 3-inch aura. Essentially, it's -1 to hit modifiers in combat against your warlord.
Yep.
Stands out to me because any Emperor's Children warlord is certainly going to be kicking about with guns. He's most likely going to be blades, or in fact, it will be blades. It would feel wrong to give him sort of hammers and mauls. It's too blunt weapon.
Well, we'll talk about the Chaos Lord on that side soon.
Yeah,
that's a
problems
big
there.
thing I want to talk about HQs in this. But yeah, I get what you mean.
I'm not going to talk about the stratagems or relics. Again, nothing really stood out. I did say at the start, none of the stratagems actually stood out at all to me. And relics, it was only the generic ones. But I'll put them all on screen so you can see them. There's obviously, you've got your Alpha Legion in here as well, just to mention, and you've also got your Night Lords.
Got
And
Night
Iron
Lords,
Warriors.
Iron Warriors, so a lot of them, and they all come with very thematic warlord traits, relics, and stratagems. So it's playing into the sort of, hopefully, the style that you like, and I personally do like that. Maybe it's too many rules, people are getting a bit annoyed at that, but I like it that you've got now, we're going to look at generic stratagems, but there's ones more themed for your sort of playstyle. And I really like that. Some people may disagree with that on that one. So we'll look at stratagems next. I have highlighted 3 that I quite like, but in general I wasn't too impressed with them.
Neither was I.
So the main one I go with is Death to the False Emperor. It's been completely retooled. 1 command point, but essentially gives whatever your units, I think in combat, complete rerolls against Loyalist Space Marines. Now that may be, limited to just one faction, well, one type of faction is Loyalist Astartes, not even against Adeptus Sororitas or Militarum. But it's one of those ones, there's loads of Space Marine factions, Grey Knights, whatever. So it's one that's going to always kind of be in use.
Big chance.
Big chance. The other one is Hatred Eternal. Legionnaires can fight and shoot again. Now with shooting, we had that in the previous one where I think it was the Slanesh marked one.
Yep. Endless Cacophony.
Endless Cacophony, and it was like any unit, and it was used all the time, and it made units, loads of them, just Slanesh.
Yeah.
Now it's only Legionaries, and I think for shooting, no one's really going to use that because there's too many bolters. But in combat, that's a different story. If you've got lots of chain swords on them, you're putting out an absolute plethora of attack if you get to strike again. So I can see plenty of options there. And the last one is Vicious Descent, which is essentially a jump pack unit when they charge. At the end, I think at the end of it or just after they charge, you roll a dice, and if you equal or match their toughness, you cause a mortal wound. Now it's not after pile-ins; you've got to be in engagement range. So I think you have to be within an inch.
Yep.
So if it's a big unit, you can possibly get maybe 6 of them within engagement range. That'll give you 6 dice, assuming you're going to be wounding on 4+ of Space Marines. That's 3 mortal wounds if you can get more around them.
Yeah.
But it's 1 command point. And with a very, very fast jump unit, you're likely to get quite a few in. Sorry, those 3 were not bad, but from my initial sort of ones, I wasn't too excited on.
A couple of ones I'll pick out was obviously the Grandfather's Blessings one. We kind of touched on this at the start of this video. There is access to get ignoring wounds of 1, 2s and 3s. Basically it's Traitorous Astartes keyword, and you'll have to mark the unit up as well to Nurgle, which I think costs about 15 points, I believe. I think it's 15 points per mark. But if you mark them, you get access to that mark, which we'll come on to later. But it basically will give that Traitorous Astartes Legion ignoring unmodified wound rolls of 1, 2s and 3s. Which is really, really good. It's obviously not as good as Transhuman Physiology, because Transhuman Physiology is much more widespread.
Only works for I think only works for Primaris.
It does only work for Primaris, but marking units cost 15 points.
Yeah.
It's expensive to start marking your whole army, so you are limited.
They have locked, I think, about 8 stratagems into marks, and I don't quite like that, considering they gave marks a point cost and an ability. I think that would have been kind of enough, but locking stratagems behind them, I'm a bit not happy on.
Other 2 I want to kind of point out, not that I really enjoyed these, but it's just people probably want to know, have these changed. Obviously you've still got Demon Forge. Demon Forge, improve the weapon skill and ballistic skill of the unit by 1, and that's for Traitors, Astartes, Demon Engines. If it's Titanic, it's 2 command points rather than 1. So you've still got access to that, although Demon Engines did get their ballistic skill and weapon skill improved already from 4s to 3s. So you can put them to 2s. People are going to...
Is it 1 command point or 2s?
1 command point is 2 command points if it's got the Titanic keyword. So it's not bad, but you've still got it.
Yeah.
You've still got it. Veterans Long War is still in there as well. That's one that I think was they'll go to. So it's 2 command points. Traitors, Astartes, infantry or biker units. Each time a model unit makes an attack, add 1 to the attack's wound roll. So that's still in there. And then the final point I want to bring out, we did touch, Endless Cacophony is gone.
Yes,
we need to mention that.
It has been replaced largely by this, I think it's the Hatred Eternal.
Yep.
They've made it limited to Legionaries, and fundamentally killed it, because if your Blurriers can't shoot twice,
Yep.
if your Havocs can't shoot twice, that's a bit of a pain.
So Endless Cacophony is out the window, and with that, I think we should talk about marks.
Leia, let's go into them a little bit. I've noted a few bits and bobs in them. So looking into the marks, I do like them because it is an upgrade, but the upgrade to the unit, and many of them are viable. I do think they are quite good, straight up upgrades. The only thing I'd say is it only affects, I think, core and characters, and so that limits in a wee bit in terms of some units you can use.
Yep.
But fair enough. Now, the one I really liked is Mark of Khorne, because it really pushes the fact you're getting +1 strength in the first round of combat and +1 AP. And I know you're saying you don't think AP as important anymore, but keep in mind that really pushes, say, a Legionnaire unit into 4 attacks apiece at strength 5 and -2 AP. That is beginning to add up. If you take a 10-man squad, I think that is 41 attacks, strength 5 -1.
Yeah, you'll feel it.
I think that is quite good at 18 points a model, technically 19.5 once you add in the mark. I think that's quite good. Nurgle one I think is absolutely convoluted. I think some people have seen it when it comes to Abaddon's rule. What? Tzeentch I can see potential if you take Havocs, because it allows you to reduce one of the damages in every turn to 0.
Yep.
And it improves your ranged characteristic of their armor penetration by 1. So really favours some range stuff.
I'm thinking missiles, mass missiles already.
Yep. Maybe Terminators with combi bolters really get that Primaris flavour on them that they can actually...
Stop trying to make them Scarabacult, it's not going to work.
No, it's not going to work. Now, Scarabacult have 2 damage on their swords alone, but no. And then Slaanesh one I think is fine, it allows you to fight first.
Yep.
And then add 1 to the unit's hit roll if you've got an icon. I forget, the icon only works, so you couldn't improve the attack penetration of attacks with Tzeentch because it doesn't affect Havocs, they can't get icons.
Sorry, we should mention that the marks have got a 2-tier rule. Units that can take an icon get the additional benefit.
And I do like that.
Yeah, it makes sense.
And but generally I think if you're going to play ones that are going to be really benefit from this, Khorne is the way to go. Slaanesh is good reactive to get that if you get to fight first. That's if you get charged. If you're charging, you're getting that anyway.
Yeah, it makes sense.
Nurgle's convoluted, and Tzeentch I can see potential on.
Yeah. It's nice to have marks though. It is nice to have them there. I still think though maybe 15 points is a bit heavy, especially with some of the rules being locked behind the mark paywall.
Yep.
Stratagem wise and relic wise. I think 15 points. I would say most likely maybe 10 points. I think is a fair one.
I think it should be tiered. If you've got 5 or less models, 5 models, 10 points. If you've got 10 models or 5 or more models, 15 points.
I could go with that.
I think that would be much more fair.
You recently seen the Granic ones all getting slashed in points, so...
Well, I think there were so many of them in that update. There was a lot of things that did get points adjusted. 15, I think it should be dependent on the amount of models you got in that unit. I think really makes a difference.
Bit nice, we're not going to complain. It's a nice flavour.
It's added flavour to marks again, and I think they've done a good job on that, because beforehand it was just elect a mark and you can choose a stratagem essentially, or a spell. This feels like there's a purpose behind marks, so I appreciate that.
Moving on to relics. Would you like to kick off this one?
So I really haven't mentioned so much on relics, but I will mention I like the demon stuff.
Okay.
I cannot wait to see people try and break stuff with them.
It'll happen.
There's some really interesting ones. This one that essentially if you hit, you automatically wound.
Is that the Boundless?
So that's the Nurgle one. You just need to hit and they automatic wound.
Kolok the Deceived, yep. Okay.
There's one here that essentially adds D3 damage to every weapon.
That's a Khorne one.
Yeah. There's one here, I can't remember this one. If you successfully wound, you cause a mortal wound. So essentially +1 damage to your attacks, but it's a mortal wound. I tried to work out that one because essentially the Khorne one should be better, because the mortal wound one you have to successfully wound.
Yeah.
So either way the damage would be going through versus the mortal wound one. The damage one. You've already wounded. Wouldn't always go with that one. But either way, the demon weapons, I'm intrigued to see what people do. The other one I actually went with I quite liked was Under the Creations of Bile. There's a once per game one for them, which for the rest of the turn, any attack the user receives is damage 1. So if you get stuck with Thunderhammer, Storm Shields, or anything that's like damage 3, you just go with your Demon Prince, you go, cool. And I think Demon Prince can take it. All your stuff is damage 1.
Yep.
And then you're like, well, great, that's good deal of protection on units like that.
There was two that I liked, which I will be honest and say one I got wrong in our battle report, but I still like it. I still rate it.
I don't anymore.
No, I still do.
Okay.
I still do, because it can be very situational.
Very, yeah.
But I'll come on to that one in a moment. The first one was anything that's psychic, I'm going to love. So the Eye of Zinch. So I've noticed this in the Craft Worlds one. I've used it to great effect, and I've noticed it's in Thousand Suns have this as well.
I think Tyranids have this one. It's a staple.
I highly rate it.
Yeah.
First part is obviously you're going to get +1 to your psychic tests for your psychers, which is always a handy wee nifty bonus. But the one I love is if you manage to do an unmodified test of 9+, it cannot be denied.
Yeah.
Which I think is still finding its place in 9th edition.
Yep.
Craft Worlds have so many shenanigan ways to do that and achieve it, which is why I love it. Thousand Suns have their own version of this as well, as you said, Tyranids do. So I highly, highly rate that one. The next one is Intoxicating Elixir. Now we used this wrong, I used it wrong.
Yeah, I was literally on the verge of correcting
but I still rate it. So one phase of your choice, essentially, you can crack the Intoxicating Elixir, as I like to call it, and you can add D3 attacks characteristic to the bearer. Give that to a Demon Prince, you can start spamming out a lot of attacks in that round. Secondly, as well, the bearer can never lose more than 3 rounds in that phase that you crack it. Now, I accidentally played it that I thought it was you keep on getting that, totally misread it, because it's similar to the way Abaddon sort of works, and it felt a bit broken that you were getting access to 2 units that can now do this. It's only for one phase, but I still think, you know what, see if you're down to low wounds on your sort of your Demon Prince and you want to fling him in to get that last kill or do a bit of glory or just damage the front line. Keep him alive for a turn potentially.
So I think it's good protection for unfavourable engagements. So even Demon Prince or Lord Discordant, you get charged by something that's going to plan to take you out in combat. You go, well, you're only going to get 3 wounds this turn, so it allows you to then survive, maybe do some damage back. Really, if you get engaged in a bad combat, that is great protection. Arguably the best in the sort of, because even the Creation of Bile one, which reduced their damage by 1, weight of dice will get you, that won't.
I apologise, there was actually one stratagem, and it was the Black Legion one that I did quite like. I did forget to mention this, so I do lie there. I didn't like most of them. This one I did actually like. Didn't take it though, but I have a lot of plans for this.
It's a stratagem there, not a relic.
Relic, sorry.
But the
Veilbreaker Plate. So Veilbreaker Plate is for a Black Legion Terminator model only. So it's not really his first one that I care about, it's the second ability I care about. But the first ability is each time an attack allocated to the bearer, you worsen armor penetration of that attack by 1.
Do you want some bad news on that?
I already know the bad news, which is why I don't care for this first part of it. I did just say that, it's the second part I care about. We already know how that's a waste of time. However,
this better be damn good then.
However, though, once per battle in your movement phase, if the bearer did not arrive as reinforcements in that turn, it can use this relic. If it does so, the bearer and up to 1 friendly Black Legion core unit within 3 inches of the bearer can be removed from the battlefield and set back up anywhere in the battlefield that is more than 9 inches away from an enemy model. If 2 units are set back up in the battlefield using this relic, both units must be placed wholly within 6 inches of each other.
Sounds like another relic.
It does? What other relic?
Veil of Darkness.
Which isn't in this book. But the reason I rate this is the final point, there is no stratagem to redeploy your units. That's been removed from this book. So we were talking about, ways that you can maybe drop some stuff in. There's no dedicated generic stratagem now in this book to actually give you that access to drop something in, like flamers, not really flamers, but if you had something, you can't really do that anymore. You either have to have jump packs, teleportations, or you're going to have to come in from the sides. That gives you access to that mid-game, mid-table drop again, which I quite like. Yeah,
there's not many access to, different deployment zones. The way that you've got is, as you say, it's going to be teleport, it's going to be deep strike. There isn't so many options of that and mid-game one. So you are very right, that is a very good one. You need to get a more favourable position in the game. That'll work. Veil of Darkness has been a staple in Necrons. That one is a great one.
The unit I was planning to use it on, if I can just very quickly do...
The other one you've seen when you mentioned Flamers in specific is probably me using Rubric Marines, which you can still use in this game, just not as ideally. And I think you do get the Black Legion, you don't get the rule.
So that was the unit I was thinking of doing it with. So obviously you have to do, it has to be a core unit. you would be doing this, in my opinion, this is one of the best ways to deliver your Noise Marines. So Noise Marines, when we come on to them, you want to get within half range of your weapons to really get full effect of your Sonic Blasters and things like that for the new Sonic rule. And putting them in a Rhino, you could do that. I just don't really rate that. I would rather than foot slog them or put them in a transport, I want to drop these Noise Marines to guarantee when they come in, they're shooting at half range.
Yeah, because there's a lot of bonuses to when they shoot at half range.
And this was one of the ways that I thought the Voidbreaker plate worked really well, is this is how I can now deliver my Noise Marines.
I would just double check in terms of, because there's a whole page now dedicated to Legion specific units and how they work in. So you can still use, I believe, you can use Plague Marines, you can still use Rubric Marines and Corps Berserkers to a degree. There are limitations on it.
There are, I have checked it. As long as they can change the Legion trait, which they can, you change your Noise Marines to Black Templars. They do lose, I believe, one of the Emperor's Children natural abilities they would normally have gotten.
I think they don't get. I don't think they get the Emperor's Children or the Black Legion trait. I think you get no trait whatsoever.
But you still have to Legion mark them.
Yeah.
So the only thing restricting you from the Void plate is they just have to have the core keyword and the Black Legion keyword, which you can do with Noise Marines. But this was the unit that I seen was really good to get dropped in.
Yeah, a few people have said that Noise Marines are looking quite good at the moment.
Yes. Anyway, shall we move on to the disciplines table?
So in terms of psychic abilities, where have I put them? So yeah, psychic, I've moved from Hereticus to Malefic, David.
Well, you can discuss Malefic then, because I've moved from Hereticus to Hereticus. Okay. Because I have never played Malefic and don't really intend to at the moment. But you're about to educate me in a minute why I need to start.
I will teach you the ways. Plus, we've got an absolute banging model painted for them.
Don't we?
It's not painted by us, it's painted by one of our guys, but he has painted it well. Now I might have reason to, which is excellent, you know.
So I'll look at Dark Hereticus then, right?
Sure.
Quickly to start off with, if any of your psychers are marked, they will gain a free psychic power in addition to the ones that you'll give them.
Yep.
So there's one for obviously every Religion Barkhorn. So if you go with the Tzeentch one, you've got this called the Skeins of Fate, which is essentially you can give a Legion and marked, has to be marked with Tzeentch, a 4-up invul save.
Cool.
Which is fine. Kind of that's like Weavers of Fate essentially.
Yeah,
is what it is. For the Nurgle, if you've got a Legion unit which is marked as Nurgle, you can do Putrid Miasma, which is basically subtract 1 from the attack's hit rolls.
Yeah,
we've kind of seen that before. And then Delightful Agonies, Legion trait, Legion army, unit and Slanesh marked. You can ignore wounds on a 5-up.
I think they're all roughly the same. The Tzeentch one might have gone from a 5-up invul to a 4-up. I could be wrong in that.
Well, I think the Tzeentch one's actually +1 to your existing invul, or give it a 5-up if it didn't have one.
I can't remember, but these are largely. I know Delightful Agonies was 5-up ignore, and Putrid Miasma was my one. And they worked.
Yep.
And now you don't need to. I think in the past you had to replace one of your choice spells. Now it's one you know in addition.
It is an addition.
And I like that. I like that. Another reason to pay for points on a psyker.
Yeah, it doesn't increase how much you can cast, but it just increases how much you know.
Now, you know, the big question now, and I'll actually come to a unit thing that might be interesting to talk about that later. But anyway, talk about the Dark Hereticus, David.
Infernal Gaze, Witchfire, nothing's really changed with the type of spell. 18 inches, roll 3d6. For each roll of a 4+, that unit suffers 1 mortal wound. However, if you cast it on an unmodified roll of 10+, you roll 66 instead.
I don't like that.
I don't either.
It's 1.5 mortal wounds or 3 if you get a 10+. Nope.
I rarely use Witchfires though, so
there's something. Recently I've been doing really well with them.
You have.
But with Thousand Suns and Tyranids, like Thousand Suns has been great. But that one, nah.
Yeah, Prescience, 18 inches, Legion unit of the Psyker, add 1 to the attack hit rolls. Again, nothing new there.
Yep.
Diabolic Strength has actually changed though. So Diabolic Strength is choose an Infantry, Legion or Chaos Spawn. So it has to be infantry or spawn. You can't Diabolic Strength a Demon Prince anymore. That is gone.
I've noted that was literally, I was like, oh no.
Yeah.
Oh no.
However though, you are going to gain the new buff instead. The new buff is +2 strength and attacks to the characteristics of that model. You know what? I'm already thinking Possessed.
It's only one model though.
Oh, so it is?
It's only one model. Yeah, if it was Possessed, each model getting +2 strength. Each model becomes
Yeah.
strength 7 and...
Although I'd still
and-
give it to a possessed, because that's going to give one model 7 attacks and strength 7, I believe, and 2 damage. It's still
7 attacks?
Well, they're 5 attacks base for possessed.
Is it? Man,
Yes.
Yeah, I do. I'm so by possessed. You're
So
absolutely right.
you're getting 7 attacks then, and it's gone down. I think it's only 6 to cast. So
Yeah.
might actually have its purpose.
There might be melee builds that people make, but we'll get to the HQs.
Yeah.
See if there was like a certain piece of war gear that wasn't missing. We'll talk about it later.
Yeah.
It'd be more applicable, you know.
Death X, nothing's really changed there. Remove invuls for a unit within 12 inches of the psyker.
Cool.
Gift of the Chaos, it's another Witchfire, cast on a 7. So, unit that's within 18 inches and visible to the psyker, D3 mortal wounds if cast. And then you must roll a d6 for each other enemy unit within 6 inches. On a 4+, that additional unit will suffer a mortal wound.
Yep.
Nice wee explosion spell,
Yep.
fair enough. And warp time has changed massively.
Yeah, this is annoying.
So warp time is 6 to cast. Choose an infantry only or chaos spawn. So again, only those two.
Yeah. So
And
no throwing demon princes about the place.
they can make a normal move. That unit can advance, even if it had previously done so. But it can no longer declare a charge.
No.
Shut
no,
down.
David.
Shut down.
No. I'm not happy. I'm
No
not
more
happy.
hucking units in people's faces.
I'm not happy. Remember the glory days of like, I think it's start of 8th edition, people would take like a Chaos Space Marine detachment with Sorcerer just so they could huck Mortarion across the
Oh,
field.
yeah, of
And
course.
then they're like, no, you've got to stop it. It wasn't Mortarion, I think they gave people the markup. They gave
Magnus
them-
was a huck one.
Yeah, I think they made them, this is a Chaos Space Marine. They went, it's a Death Guard's Chaos Space Marine, even though you technically kind of couldn't do it,
Yeah.
but they let them get away. Yeah, they've stopped all the tricks. And
They
that.
have nerfed it, however, I can still see a reason to take it, and the reason I would take it is redeployments, essentially.
Yep.
And one of the, I would still take it, and I don't use it in the battle report that we playtest this, but I planned to, was if my Havocs got in trouble.
Yeah,
So
Havocs.
redeploying Havocs because they ignore the penalty for moving and shooting heavy.
Yep.
But you can get new lines of sight potentially. You can, if you're in trouble, fall back in your psychic
Yep.
phase and your movement phase, so you can get 2 rounds of movement. It still has its purpose,
There's
but it's just
potential.
not got the purpose it once stood for.
Yeah, what's the range of it? If it's 6 inches,
6
the it's
inches.
still tight.
Oh yeah, I think it's tighter.
Tight. Yep. So a sorcerer, maybe warp time impressions, buff up your Havocs, then hide them away.
Yeah, that's really about it.
Fair play.
Right though, educate me.
So Malefic, right? Really, this is designed to buff up your demon units, like Demon Kin, and your engines. So one of
Okay.
them, which is warp marked, 18 inches, warp charge 7, just straight up +1 to your wind rolls.
Love it already.
I don't know if it's just in the fight phase. Nope, to your next attack, models make an attack against that unit, add 1 to the attack's window. Oh, sorry. Marked warp charge, selected it's one enemy, so it's even better. You select one unit within 18 inches, and all your Demon Kin and
Demon
engines
engines.
get +1 against it. So you go, I want that to die. That can really help with Obliterators, concentrated fire. It's basically you choose a unit to really suffer a major debuff.
Do Possessed have Demonkin?
Yes, they do.
Does Demon Prince have Demonkin?
Pass.
Pass. Hard pass
I
there.
didn't check that one.
It does not.
It does not, but I believe things like your Possessed and your Obliterators, they are Demon Kin.
Yeah.
Their
yeah.
engines. You can have a double check.
Yeah,
on
no,
them.
they definitely
They
should.
must, so they've got Obliterators, Demon Kin, Possessed. Next page, this way, wrong way.
I've got it here.
Oh,
Got it
do
here. Yeah. Yeah, Demonkin.
So that's
yeah.
that's the idea I'm going for. That is a good debuff on an opponent.
Yep.
I think that's absolutely solid. 18 inches might be a little bit tight, but I think it's good. Pact to Flesh essentially allows you to bring back a model. So this one works of Warp Charge 5, select a friendly Legion Core, Demonkin, or character within 18 inches. One model regains D3 lost wounds, or if it's a Core or Demonkin, it returns one model if it's not like Starting Strength. So that's quite good.
Yeah.
Bring back an Obliterator. Yeah, bring back an Obliterator. I think Obliterators are now 90 points. That's a lot to bring back.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Yeah, so I think that's quite good. If selected Demonkin or Core, so good. Like it. So you could essentially go, I'm going to +1 to win something and return an Obliterator. And the last one was, Delightful Agonies. So that's the 2 I chose from there, but Delightful Agonies I think is the best out of the marked ones.
Yeah, I agree.
5 up ignore. So I
agree.
tried to look between Zane and Snuggle.
Yeah, I like Malefic. Don't get me wrong. It's that's more kind of I like to play psychic, all about buff and debuff.
So I sold you on it.
Oh, you have sold me on it.
Hooray! Yeah. So
we need to get our Demonkin models out there. We really need to.
We've got 3 Obliterators, and I tried to get them find them the other day.
Because if that's the case, go 6 Obliterators and get that Master of Possession on the field.
There's so much chaos I need to paint. I've got so many models to paint.
Hopefully this book inspires you.
You've seen my cupboard of shame.
This is actually something I didn't look at all, if I'm being brutally honest. So I imagine, yeah. Did you look at it at all, Ross?
Nah, not so much. So I'll quickly cover that. Soul Eater Potent, which is +1 to wound, I think, for something. Let's have a look. Soul Terror Potent. If the prayers are heard, select one friendly Legion core, cultist, or character within 6 inches. Each time a model makes a melee attack, +1 wound. +1 to wound is always nice.
We don't really use apostles anymore, but we might give it a wee shot.
The problem is that they're just not mobile. And compare it to, let's say, Black Templars, what loadout, which is an absolute beast unit at the moment. It's got a bike, meaning it can move 14 inches.
I'm aware.
Versus this guy's just foot slogging. This is going to be a big problem for Chaos Space Marines, is the mobility of characters is a little bit hurt. So the large reason why, although they have all these options, I didn't rate them, is because the mobility and the short range of their bonuses kind of
They still have the same problem they had before.
There might be a loadout that people find they'll go, that relic works really well with it. They did it for Black Templars. Might be able to do it again, but the Black Templar one worked because you got extra wounds, extra toughness, extra mobility, and they just became an absolute unit.
Right, moving on to generic warlord traits. You have 6 to choose from.
Right, you can start on this one because I'm going to go on a journey on this.
You're going to go on a journey?
By that, I didn't like any of these, so I didn't really rate them as much.
Yeah, I did find warlord traits, the ones you can get from your own Legion table, tend to be better.
Yeah, that's kind of what I'm about going here.
And Paragon of Hatred is the one I really enjoyed using, and that's obviously the Black Legion one.
Which Abaddon does have that one.
Yeah.
Because he's got 3.
Really, these are all kind of similar to what they were before, but Hatred Incarnate is probably one that always stands out for me. Each time your warlord fights, makes a charge move, performed heroic intervention, or is charged, add 1 to the strength and attacks of that warlord. Absolutely fine. Again, can synergize quite well if you've got a Blender Lord. Each time your warlord makes a melee attack, you can reroll the attack hit rolls. It's not going to buff your army, it's just going to make your warlord a little bit better in combat. That's really the only one that stood out to me.
So yeah, a large part of it is we're now playing command points for warlord traits and relics.
Oh god.
So they better be good. And now they cut the command points at the start, so they really have to be good.
Yeah.
The ones I rated, and I really rated most of them here, was Creations of Bile. I thought they were really good. So the generic one I said that was good was Unholy Fortitude, 5 up ignore. You know, that one's going to be, if I'm going to go generic, that one's fine. But Creation of Bile have one which is unmodified wound rolls of 4, auto wound. So
that's great.
So you have that, and pluses to the AP.
That's brilliant.
So that one is really good, and I believe Bile himself has that one.
We need to get Mr. Bile himself.
I really want to pay him. There's a good tutorial online.
So if I buy him, would you paint him?
Yeah, Duncan Rhodes.
You've heard it here first. There we go. Deal done.
Yeah, if you've ever seen any Duncan Rhodes stuff, he does some great tutorials. Bile is one of them.
He's a good looking model.
It's a good looking model. I've only painted one real sort of centerpiece model that I've been super difficult and proud of, which was recently the Great Unclean one.
Brilliant.
I felt a very good job of that. The person who trained me how to paint in 2019 said I did a very good job of it. So I think I'm ready for Bile. I think I'm ready for that.
Yeah, it's
but
cool.
Again, you've seen my cupboard of unpainted models, and Rich gave me a whole bunch of models.
The unholy grey crack.
I've now got so many. I'll send you a photo of my table
Please
later. I got the Wraith Knight back, and I'm finishing it now.
Right, okay.
Moving on, another one he's got is Prime Test Subject, +1 strength, toughness, and wounds for Warlord trait.
Yeah, I quite like that.
Again, put it on Demon Prince. You're going to become strength 8, toughness 7, and 9 wounds. Yep, another good one. And Twisted Regeneration, the Warlord, I believe when they're killed, comes back on a 2+ with D3 wounds.
Yeah, I love it.
So you absolutely smack it in combat. Wait till the end of the turn, just don't roll a 1. I believe that is how it goes. Be a Twisted Regeneration, come back
love it.
2+ and D3. Yeah, the Bile ones and stuff, the Warlord, the trait for that, +1 movement and strength, there is a lot of potential on that.
Yeah, I agree.
Intrigued, so I'll get to work on Bile. I don't really rate him as much. There is one caveat I didn't like on him, but there is stuff that is talked about.
Cool looking model though.
Great model. We've got nearly every single special character painted, bar.
We've got his original version.
Got his original version, but I think we...
Because I used to love using Bile a wee bit.
Have we got every other model painted up?
We pretty much...
No, we've not got World Claimer. I need to work on that one as well.
Harkin, who's quite good now.
He's not bad. There's potential. If you're a Black Legion person, I think there's... I've not checked his points. Right, I don't think we're going to cover chapter approved. Do you want to...
skipping it.
Because, in all honesty, you're probably going to find that's going to be part of the Nihilist book.
It will be.
I could be wrong in that. Let's... do you want to talk about Let the Galaxy Burn?
I'll talk about it.
Yeah.
I'll talk about how I don't really like it.
Yeah.
So, Let the Galaxy Burn... This has all been leaked already, though. Let the Galaxy Burn is, if you have a flamer weapon, you're going to be, whatever your D6 is, D3 or D6, plus 2.
Yeah.
That's the first section of the rule. And on paper, cool. Wrong army.
Wrong army. See if this had been Thousand Suns.
Brilliant. We've been taking it for days.
Crazy.
Days.
Like, crazy, but there's not that many flamers. No. They sold it in the... It's not just been leaked, it's been announced by the Warhammer community.
Yeah, sorry.
I mean, it probably was leaked beforehand as well. In fact, I don't think it was, but I could be wrong. They used the Bale Flamer from Helldrake and from the Lord Discordant. Fine. But this is like an army-wide rule. There is not many desirable flamers in this army. They're all strength 4, 0 AP as far as we're 1 damage. Compared to Tal Flamers, who get this automatically in their flamers. They're 6 plus 2. You've got Thousand Suns, which are extra AP. I think Adepts of Sororitas ones might be strength 3, but -1. I could be wrong in that. You're getting basic Space Marine flamers. We're not sold by them particularly. Chosen don't really get great flame. Chosen, I'm going to rant about later. I don't think they did a good job of them either.
No.
I think it was just... It's cool in principle, wrong army.
All I'm saying is, did someone maybe look at the word burn and go, oh, we must do a flamer rule? Because that's the only logic I can think. It's not the right army to do this.
Yeah, you're not wrong.
You do not have enough access to actually take full advantage of your Legion ability rule.
Yep.
However, the next part, we'll give them a pass. I actually quite like this because it needs to be happening, especially with it being a Marine-based faction.
Yep.
The second part is you get access to what's called the Wantons. I think I'm saying that right. Essentially, it's tactical doctrines.
It's tactical doctrines, but you replace the AP with an extra hit on unmodified rolls of 6.
So the second part of Legion rule is unit gains a bonus depending on which Wanton is engaged during the battle round. So during first battle round, your army is Wanton Destruction, which I'll come to in a minute. During the second battle round, you're Wanton Massacre. And the start of the third battle round, you can select either the Wanton of Massacre or the Wanton of Slaughter until the end of the battle round. And then during the fourth battle round and subsequent battle rounds, so only the fourth and the fifth, you are engaged in Slaughter. There's ways, shenanigans, to change these around, but that is the order of which you will do them. So what are the Wantons? Wanton of Destruction is basically all heavy, rapid fire and grenade weapons, unmodified wind rolls of a 6, score an additional hit.
So can I just say one thing's ridiculous? So this is the first one, heavy and rapid fire, totally get grenades?
I don't know.
How are you going to get grenades in range of that?
Well, you might get a grenade with those bikes. In Red Corsairs, you get a grenade.
Sure, but I mean, you're not even Red Corsairs because if you advance, you can't throw grenades.
You're not going to get a grenade.
I'm like, oh, come on, dude, because I know that Loyalists have grenade launchers.
But it's not going to happen.
You know?
It must be a mistake, and they'll probably rectify it at some point.
I don't think it's even a mistake. I think it's just that should have really been the midsection.
Talking about the midsection, you then have Massacre. Massacre is again, it's going to be rapid fire, assault, and pistol weapons. You'd hope for grenades to be in there, but they're not. Unmodified hit rolls of a 6, score an additional hit. And then finally you have Slaughter, and Slaughter is melee attacks, assault, pistol, will be unmodified hit rolls of 1. Unmodified hit rolls of 6 gets 1 additional hit.
Yeah, there might be ways this is better. Like the first round one with heavy weapons, cool, great, fantastic. The middle one, the rapid fire weapons, you've got a lot of bolters in this game. It's not going to make a huge difference.
No.
And Slaughter, I think, is absolutely fine because, let's face it, I think this is a very combat heavy force in some ways. I think the mid-range stuff, which is like your rapid fire, is a little bit lacking. And that's simply because you're firing, strength 4 las guns in a lot of ways. I'm a bit salty on that. Can't tell.
It's not the best. The Wantons are nice to have, but the Flamer is just an embarrassment.
Yeah, this is not the army for that. I think they could have... So the big question is, Dave, do you think it's better than Death to False Emperor, which was it melee attacks, unmodified rolls of Or I think
Against
even
Imperium.
in fact, it was also modified against Imperium. It's an extra attack. I think this is probably mid.
So I'd have to automatically say that one's slightly better because technically you get the Wantons through that rule.
You also get to face them against other Xenos and Chaos ones.
It is better, but the first half
It's
is
just not
useless.
scratching me, to be honest. I'm just not feeling it. But think of it this way: you've got Armour of Contempt, which is significantly better.
Yeah, but everyone else has that. That's a Marine as well now. Right, we should move on to some data sheets.
Yeah, let's start with the Abaddon, dude. Like,
Okay.
why not? Let's just get this one. Everyone's been chatting on the internet about it already.
Shall I talk about him?
Go for it. You played him.
I played him and absolutely fell in
I was
love.
angry about it.
So Abaddon certainly no longer has the moniker Failbadon. For me, that's gone out the window. A thing of the past until next edition when they'll bring it back, because they'll always find a way.
Yeah.
It's Abaddon we're talking about. He has to be the joke.
He was still okay in the previous Codex. Like, he was still alright. It's just the rest of the Codex held him back.
Yeah.
Now he's became a bit more of a unit.
So he's 300 points. Again, you've kind of seen this already in the leaks and in the announcements from our community. But first of all, instant take for me now. He is brilliant and he's not going to impact you taking other legions with his Agent of Chaos rule.
There's only one rule in this that really gets impacted by that in his day sheet. Other than that, he fully buffs them and really helps in other ways.
Yeah. So basically, what is he stacking? Movement 6, weapon skill, bliss skill 2, toughness and strength are 6, wounds is 9, attacks 8, leadership 11. Yeah,
2-up save.
yeah, but a leadership 11.
He's as brave as Custodes.
He's
Braver than a robot.
He's a single model who can never fall back. Or sorry,
I
break
know.
from morale.
There's things that I know. Leadership in this game's a mess. Like, Dark Angels can do shenanigans.
Don't worry, because we're going to go to toughness 13
Craft
at some
world.
point. Don't you worry about it. It's
See,
coming.
given Custodes leadership 11, and then they did an article.
I know.
I was salty on that one.
Anyway, he's leadership 11, right?
Because Custodes were known for failing their leadership checks.
Right, weapon skill, and then, save 2 up.
Yeah.
I'll come into his weaponry next. So we've got the Talon of Horus, which is a shooting attack, 24 inches, assault 4, strength 5, -1, 2 damage. Can't complain. Pretty good. I think his previous one was D3 damage, so going to 2 damage makes sense. Because that's the sort of way of things now.
I think it was rapid fire before rapid fire 2, now it's assault 4. Better.
Just as it is.
Fine.
In my opinion, one of the best weapons in the game now, for combat-wise.
Some people were complaining about this one was a one step too far. Like, no, sorry, there was 2 steps too far. There's another one. But
So-
it's the end part of this. People are like, come on.
So the Draconian is going to be strength 3, bringing him to strength 9. Sorry, plus strength 3, so bringing him to strength 9. He actually stacks with his other warlord traits and stuff, so he's going to be usually strength 10
Yeah.
on most occasions.
Yeah.
-4, 3 damage, and any unmodified wound roll of a 6 is an additional D3 mortal wounds, which, by the way, you can usually bring him to an average of 10 attacks a round.
Yeah.
And even that's usually every round he's going to be 10 attacks
He's
as well.
rerolling shit. Like, he's like, I would have preferred if they just made it unmodified wound rolls of 6, where 3 mortal wounds and no more damage. Like, as in that 3 damage he originally did,
Yeah.
just becomes mortal. None of this. Oh, by the way, I get the 3 damage and D3 mortal wounds.
Yeah.
No,
And
like,
he's going to probably get 1 or 2 of those.
keep in mind, that's potentially 6 damage with 1 of his 8 attacks.
I'm aware.
What? the-
If you do the math, and if everything went well, because knights don't get invols in combat, if it went well and you did all your
Goodness,
rolls,
he's going to wound on 3.
well, you can do potentially like more than 30 wounds. Because he can get about 10 attacks on the charge. He can do, if everything went through, a knight won't even get a save against him.
Nah.
So he'll be doing no saves.
Yeah.
If he wins with them all, and there's ways to make sure he wins efficiently as well.
There's ways to make sure he wins really efficiently.
He'll do 30 wounds, not including his mortal damage.
I mean, to a degree, he's a Baron. He should, like, so knights can do things in shooting and stuff as well. He does combat. He does it well. Should he be able to flip a knight?
Sorry, crush a knight.
Crush
not
a knight.
flip it, you
I
just
once had
crush
a
it.
Baron crushed by a knight, like just stomped. So
Those days are gone.
those days are gone. That was a Forge World knight as well. No, those days are gone. A Baron has got that knight and it is going down.
So going to his rules wise, so he's also got the Talon of Horus and Melee, which you're not really going to take anymore unless you're against 20 odd models.
Yeah, sort of like, say someone throws 30 conscripts at you.
Sure.
I mean, it does happen. People aren't taking big squads anymore.
Yeah.
But this essentially doubles his attack to swat away.
Talon of Horus is going to be strength user, -4, 1 damage, but 2 hits rather than 1.
There's going to be situations, I think, where you're going to take the one where it's double the attacks. It just depends. But they both serve a really good purpose.
Moving into his rules, Mark of the Ascendant. Really all Mark of the Ascendant is see all the marks we discussed earlier on. They're basically just transferred onto his datasheet.
That's rule.
Essentially what they've done. Just a quick reminder, guys, you have each time this model was charged for Heroic Intervention, he'll get that +1 strength to his attacks, which brings him up to that strength 10 with the Draconian that we're talking about. Once per turn, he will also reduce damage. The first failed saving throw, he'll reduce the damage to 0.
So I tried to play a trick on this one to get it down, is that I said, well, you know, I could do Psychic and do Mortal Wound and you ignore only 1 point of damage to each one is separate, but because it's failed saving throw, you just go, I'll take those wounds in the Psychic phase, and then when you try and melee me later on, reduce one into 0. I was like...
Has to be saving throw.
Darn it! So,
each time an attack is made against this model, this is just so stupid, that strength is either equal to or at least double, then subtract 1 from the attack's wound rolls.
It means basically if you wound him on 4s, it's going to be 5s, and if you wound him on 2s, it's going to be 3s. That is it. And even the 3s aren't modified in any way.
Yeah, I know.
Or the 5s and the 6s aren't modified.
And then at the start, this model starts the fight phase in engagement range, it always fights first.
Which I think is fine.
Which is up. So that's basically the Slanesh transfer. Sure. We still have more. Dark Destiny is a 4-up invul save, and it can only ever lose 3 wounds per phase. I actually agree with that rule. I don't mind it.
Okay. Many people are angry at it.
I'm aware. I'm not.
The first untargetable, first character can benefit from Lookout Star.
I get it.
And benefit from...
I didn't say it was balanced. I just agree with it.
Okay.
Because I want to use it.
You did?
And Abaddon now, why drop him anymore? Just bully up the field.
Well, I mean, yeah, this is it. He is... You're paying that 300 points, and I think you can safely say bully up the field, go with him. I would take him with Legionaries. He benefits them so much.
Of course he does.
Yeah, he's a good unit. Will he stay 300 points, we'll say.
Yeah.
Will he cost more than Guilliman? They're even at the moment.
Yeah, because Guilliman was brought down to his level.
They're even. We'll see how that goes.
We then have the War Master. If your army is battle forged, he must be your warlord. Essentially, though, what it will do is give the agent a chaos keyword, which allows him to be shifted around other armies.
Yep, great.
The Despoiler is choose a friendly core unit within 6 inches of that model. You can then add 1 to their charge rolls for that unit, and each time a model in that unit makes an attack, you reroll hit rolls of 1. Yep. So you're not just giving them reroll hits of 1, you're giving them reroll charges.
Yeah,
just huge.
Yeah, you're giving them +1 to their charge.
1 to their charge roll, sorry.
That's a 6-inch order to all core. So that affects...
Sorry, yeah, all core within 6 inches. So that affects,
you take Legionaries with their chain swords, +1 charge, and they get reroll 1s. Woo!
Then you have Lord of Traitor Legions. In your command phase, choose either a Helic Astartes core or character within 6 inches. Until the start of your next command phase, you can reroll all hits, and if they're Black Legion, you can reroll all wounds.
That's essentially your Chapter Master ability.
Which is brilliant.
Well, your Chapter Master plus the wound one if you're Black Legion.
Yeah.
And see when he goes Agent of Chaos, he doesn't lose his Legion rule, does he? So he is Black Legion.
Yeah.
So you can select him to receive all reroll hits and reroll wounds.
He has 3 Warlord traits as well. He obviously has... I'll just bring them all up. So he has the Paragon one, which I mentioned earlier on.
Reroll
which is
charge.
And giving him
extra attack.
Yep.
D3 if it's Imperial.
Yep. So that gives him his 10 attacks, basically, potentially. We also have... Oh, my
There is
word.
one, I'm going to try and remember this. You can choose a unit at the start of the game and...
You choose an enemy unit and,
Every core unit, I think, within 6 inches of this Warlord can reroll hits and wound rolls against that enemy. So you keep them near Havocs, and you choose a unit, and then that Havoc unit's suddenly rerolling hits and wounds.
It's called Internal Vendetta.
Yep.
And then he obviously has
captures as well.
And then he has Merciless Overseer. All Merciless Overseer does is basically get a unit to change its wanton.
Yeah, it was rubbish.
It was really rubbish, really messy.
It moves to the middle wanton, which I was like, I don't want that middle wanton. I want the slaughter one.
But after all, you're basically kicking around with an almost guaranteed 10 attacks every phase with his Draconian. He's not going to lose wounds. He's got a way to soak up damage. You wouldn't want to engage him, first of all, is all I'm going to say. So,
like, a lot of people compare it to other models. Keep in mind things like, Mortarion and Magnus, they have durability, and Magnus certainly has Psychic, and they've got mobility. He does not have mobility. He's going to move 6, and he's got improved charges, and that's it. There's no way, as far as I know, to advance him and move faster. So he has a bully up the field unit.
Which feels fine for me if it's long. I don't mind that, because eventually he'll hit his target.
Eventually he'll reach his target. So it's going to be interesting to see what people say. Will he be worth that 300 points? We'll find out.
Yeah.
One thing, let's go into the character general. They're fine. Fabius Bile I wasn't totally sold on.
Mentioned that, yeah.
I thought, there's ways to buff the units, and it's really good, but you have to be Mark of Chaos Undivided. And when I was thinking of, I'm going to have like strength, so we begin with him, he gives, you could take him and it gives your guy strength, +1 movement and strength.
Yep.
If you give them Mark of Corn, you're instantly starting at strength 6.
Yep.
And then you give them a further bonus here that can make your guy strength 7. Now you can't. So you can't do that because he has, you have to be Mark of Undivided. Yeah, they have to have Fabius Bile, which does not have the Mark of Chaos keyword or enhancement, see below. And basically, you can buff them up. I don't think you'll lose any models for it if completed. His Tenant allows him to roll 2d6, 2d3 and choose one. He is good. He is good. I need to see how he plays on it.
Yeah.
But if he allowed marks to get enhanced as well, he'd be almost an auto take.
Yeah.
I really like him though. Great model.
Another one, just to quickly point out, not a full overview of this unit, but some subtle changes. Demon Prince did have its invul save changed.
Yep.
Kind of weirdly how they're now doing it, but fine, that's where they're going to go for it. It gets 4 up invul save now for Demon Prince against ranged attacks, but a 5 up in combat. Personally, I think it should be the other way around.
I think it should be the other way around.
5 up against range, 4 up in combat. But hey, it is what it is. It's now got, because before it was only a 5 up invul.
Yep.
So it's now got access to that 4 up as it's creeping forward up the battle line.
You're under 10 wounds. You shouldn't be getting targeted at the most of the times anyway.
But you've got a bit extra there.
Yeah, you've got a bit extra. Big rant on terms of the Chaos Space Marine Lords and such. They have removed jump packs, which I think is ludicrous.
I know.
Now, the main reason I've done this is that I think there was a Lightning Claw, very old Lightning Claw Chaos Lord. I think it's been taken out of sale. Games Workshop really much are like, if we don't have a model for it, it's not happening.
Yep.
But that really removes the option of Chaos Lords in terms of, at one point, and I don't think you could do it in the last edition, you could have them on a bike, you could have them in jump packs. Mobility was there. You've really reduced the mobility for Chaos Lords, and there's plenty of options to choose from here. Very cool. Sorcerers also, I believe, lost on it. I think that's a personal mistake. Very much you see in this codex and a lot of other areas is that if that unit can't have that war gear in their box, they've limited it. And I think that's a mistake. I think that is a mistake. We've essentially exchanged the Thunderhammer for mobility. Thunderhammer was cool. I love the new model with the Thunderhammer. Just wanted a jump pack to go along with it. Really wanted a jump pack.
What about Night Lords?
That is a great point, David. I did not even think about that.
What about you poor Night Lord players now? Your jump pack Lord's gone. Done. Doesn't exist.
I didn't even think of that. Yeah, I'm a bit disappointed by that. But
Red Corsairs, you've got no more Biker Lord. Gone.
Yeah.
Done.
Yeah, I think that is maybe it'll go to Legendary.
Yeah, they do the Legends now and then. It comes round every so often.
I think they also want to do away with that as well, but whatever. I think that is a mistake.
It is.
In terms of other HQs, anyone you want to talk about?
Not HQ-wise. Harkin, I did want to just touch on really briefly. I think Harkins came up in my estimations quite a lot. So Harkin's a lot cheaper.
Yep.
I want to quote myself how much I've seen him at now. Harkin World Claimer is 150 points. But what really stood out to me for Harkin was he's your only access to Jump Lord.
Yep.
But he's only Black Legion, so again, sorry Night Lords, you're not getting him.
Sure.
But he's only access to a Jump Lord, but he's pretty nifty in combat. He's got 7 attacks, there's ways to give him more attacks, more strength. But his strength 7, no, sorry, it's going to be strength 4, -3, 2 damage in combat. Which...
He hucks his spear and it attacks every unit it goes across. Yeah,
that one's quite good as well. That's 3 damage apiece. But I wouldn't mind taking Harkin, just hucking him into some Primaris Marines and chopping them up. He's got plenty of attacks to do damage.
So I've got to paint Harkin as well now.
Nah, fit Bile first. Bile's killer.
Okay, fair enough, fair enough.
But it was just a wee thing I wanted to point out. For 150 points, he seems quite good to chuck him into combat, especially if you are looking for that manoeuvrability with, having a Lord to give rerolls. Well, he will do that. However, use only for Black Legion.
Yeah. That's a bit of a shame.
Other than that, shall we move on to actual troops?
Yeah, one thing I'll rant about why I don't like the Dark Commune and all the cultist stuff later. I'll get on that later. Let's make it a bit quicker on this one. So Legionaries, I think are great. 2 wins, finally. 3 attacks, which is cool. Essentially, we lost Shock Assault, but we just got 3 attacks.
Let's build it into the profile.
I think that's probably going to happen with Space Marines. Shock Assault, because why did they get it, not Space Marines? I can see Space Marines just going, lose Shock Assault, just have your 3 attacks. Fine.
Great.
In terms of Legionaries, I'm almost certain you're going to take Astartes Chainswords. It makes them about 18 points in model. You're putting out 4 attacks in model, Armour of Contempt. I think they're great. You could make one of them a Psyker, which is expensive. I think it's 20 points.
Yep.
But that means you can buff the unit up. Say, what did I say you could put on them? Essentially, Prescience or Death X. Instead of paying for a Sorcerer, you just make one of your Legionary units have one of those buffs. So that gives you a lot of options in there. You just go, cool, here's my Death X Legionary, here is my Prescience. I think that's okay. I like the Accursed Cultists. They're cheap. They're quite good in that one. I think they're only 6 points model versus the Cultist, which is 5.
Yep.
I would probably go with Accursed all day long. Anything on troops you want to add?
No, I agree with all that. The Accursed I just quite like as well because you can bring them back.
Yep.
You can bring them back
automatically.
and I think they do more attacks overall. Yeah, they do additional attacks. And for 6 points to come back, be a pain. They're basically your Poxwalkers. Quite like them. Yeah, no issues with them at all.
Let's rant about elites. I've got notes here. I'll go first.
Okay.
I was not happy. So we realised this in the battle report that we were playing is that in some ways Chaos is a little bit heavy support heavy.
Skewed to that. It wants you to take that.
A lot of armies need to realise in terms of if you take a battalion, you can take 6 elites. So that elite section better be good. And there is some areas that they're not bad. I like Possessed. I think they're quite good. The Hellbrute, for its points, you can do okay on. Yeah, Noise Marines if you want to be so inclined. But see the weapon selection for Terminators and Chosen? It's messy. So see the Chosen you can get in Eldritch Storm, which came with Dual Lightning Claws, Bolt Pistol with Power Sword, which is now going to be called an Accursed Weapon. The Plasma Pistol came with a Chain Axe, which technically is now an Accursed Weapon. And the Bolter and Power Maul, which is now technically an Accursed Weapon.
Yep.
And then a Combi Plasma, which can be taken. It's simply they sort of when the Chosen were sort of your unit that you could customise to how you want them to be, a big unit of special weapons, etc. They've now taken this sort of Accursed Weapon that is your catch-all, Power Axe, Power Maul, blah blah blah. They're all still in this Codex, but this Accursed Weapon seems to be very much a catch-all thing. And it's only damage 1, it does give you an additional attack, and it's -3 AP +1 damage. It is good to a degree, but if it could only have been damage 2, it would have really gone up in my estimations. There's something about it I just don't like, David. It's put that, they all get it, but it's like, up to 2 models can have Bolt Pistol replaced with Plasma Pistol. You're not going to take a Plasma Pistol. Up to 2 models for every 5 models. So 2 models for every 5 models can have their Bolt Gun be a Combi Melter, Combi Flamer, Combi Plasma, and then 1 model's Bolt Gun can replace with an additional Accursed Weapon. I'm assuming for that purpose, that second Accursed Weapon was supposed to be those Lightning Claws.
Yep.
It's messy. I don't like it. I don't like it, David.
I just don't see their point. They don't feel as a unit you're ever going to look at and go, I'm going to take them. By the way, and I'm saying that for almost all the elites, and that includes Terminators as well. I don't look at them and go, I want to take them. The only elite that really stands out to me is Possessed.
Possessed really stand out. Terminators, again, they've got these Accursed Weapons. It seems this sort of catch-end-all. You're an axe, but it's called an Accursed Weapon.
Yeah.
I think that they've done well. Chaos Space Marines updating the models. I love the Legionaries. I like what they've done Terminators to a degree. Don't like the Chosen, the ones they introduced there. They needed a new unit. They needed an equivalent to Blade Guard. Huge halberds, demon sort of shield, and that would have been cool as anything.
That was your, what are they called again? The Obliterator combat ones, what were they called?
Mutilators.
Again? That was your Mutilator updates.
I can largely, and to me,
you should have had that.
They should have maybe have had Mutilators, but I would have preferred another unit of Chaos Space Marines, not Demonkin, Chaos Space Marines. I think something that was akin to a combat heavy one would have been really good.
Yeah.
And I'm just a bit disappointed on the elite side. I think Possessed, and they're good.
Oh, they're brilliant.
And they can fill up a lot of areas. I love how they've really upped them to the greater scale ones.
Yeah.
I think that's a good idea.
They're going to hit very hard.
Hellbrutes are fine. They're mini dreads, whatever.
Nothing new.
Nothing new.
Noise Marines.
We've already spoke about noise. Oh no, you've not.
No. We've kind of spoke about them, but I wanted to raise something.
Cool, go for it.
So, Noise Marines. You can still take them in 10-man squads. However, there's two changes that I really like.
Mm-hmm.
So first of all, if you gave them all Sonic Blasters, Sonic Blaster is Assault 3, 24 inches, minus 1 damage, Strength 4, as a Sonic Weapon rule. The new Sonic Weapon rule is each time an attack is made within half range, add 1 to the damage. Not AP, not strength, damage, and I quite like this. Hence why I was really trying to find how's the best way to deliver this unit onto the battlefield to maximise that, and that Relic seems quite a good way. So you're going to get a lot of these Sonic Blasters which can do a lot of shots, damage 2, that's a Primaris killer, and it's quite a dangerous gun. The Blast Master, I'm going to say I highly rate as well. I believe you can get, is it 2 of these? Now, 1 Noise Marine can take it. I think it's only 1 you can take. But regardless, it is got 2 profiles. The weakest one, I'll just go first, is Assault 6, Strength 5, minus 2, 1 damage. But if you're in half range, you're going to get damage 2, so that's 6 damage, 2 shots alone.
Yep.
However, Strength 48 inches, and if you are going to be heavy 3 shots, Strength 8, minus 3, 3 damage. But if you're in half range, that's 4 damage a piece.
That is true.
That's a very efficient gun.
That is good. One thing I know as well is that we kind of like crapped on the Wanton one, which was rapid fire assault weapons. These are a lot of assault weapons.
Yes.
So you get that, you get unmodified wound rolls, I think it's wound rolls of 6.
6.
They become AP minus 2 for a lot of these, Sonic Blasters. So there's
it's not AP, it's just an additional hit.
Sorry, it's additional hit. A lot of potential there.
Oh yeah, I highly rate Noise Marines again now. Highly rate Noise Marines again now, and I will be planning to use them. A lot of damage output. Yeah. They can be very dangerous.
I picked up a painted version of that the other day. Rich gave us one. The guitar one.
Let's get it on the field.
Yeah, I'll get it. I need to re-glue it, but yeah, it's looking good. Do
you want to carry on from here?
Fast attack, Chaos Bikers, banging. Okay. Let's face it, with chainswords, I think they're going to be good.
You heard it here first, they're banging.
Yeah. You advance as them with Red Corsairs. 20-inch movement, because you turbo, advance, do not make a roll, 6 inches. Yeah, advance and charge. Scary. Raptors and Warp Talons.
Raptors, meh.
I mean, they're basic Legionnaires with higher movement, and that is like exactly it. Warp Talons, 5 attacks apiece. Yeah. We're going to see what happens on that one. They can stop units falling back, and they can reroll wounds. There's potential.
There is.
They're 23 points in moral, so a bit heavy, and toughness 4, but there's potential.
The debate about would you rather go with Possessed or the Warp Talons, I think Possessed on paper because they're the same points, but the Possessed will deal more damage, but see the Warp Talons, a better delivery method. Because the Possessed take up 2 slots. They can't go in Rhinos now, they can only go in Land Raiders, and they take up 2 slots. So your Land Raider can only take 5 Possessed. You're not going to get the 10-man squad moved about. But your Warp Talons, you can go absolutely deep and do 10 of them and just drop them down. So you've got that there.
Yep. Your cat's trying to go in my bag. Right. We've now got, in terms of the Havocs. Havocs are actually largely the same.
Largely the same.
Yeah, I got 2 wounds, you got 3 attacks.
However, largely the same, but you're going to see more of them because the way this book is designed, they stand out as a good unit to take.
If you're going to go ranged, Havocs are going to be largely the way. You're not going to take Bolters. No. Havocs are going to be the way. Obliterators, I think we're going to disagree. We're going to agree to disagree on that one.
Yeah, I don't like them.
I like them. I think they're good. Maybe a bit expensive at, I think, 90 points model. But they have just essentially became Mutilators as well. They are Strength 10, minus 3, 2 damage in combat. And they can fire in combat as well.
Yeah, that's fine.
So even if you get charged, you're still firing. You don't get -1 for movement. There is a lot of potential.
Why can they fire in combat?
Because that's the rule.
Oh, yeah, it is.
So they can cause damage in combat by firing and then pummel you with Strength 10 attacks.
That's
not good, David.
I think they're too pricey.
Maybe
for what you're doing.
They are, I mean, 2-up save, Armour of Contempt.
Because if I want to get the damage 4 gun, which yes I want to do, I'm only going to get D3 shots. I might get 1.
You might get 1, and that is Yeah, compare it to heavy venom cannon.
If I was to go
which
with
is like 3 shots at.
if I was to go with a
strength
unit I'm going to shoot, I'd always go with Noise Marines over Obliterators.
9. Okay, we'll agree to disagree. I like them, but I can see that's a bit too swingy on that side. You know, you've got maybe 9 shots, which would be great. You might get 1 shot, and they're
Plus
not.
they've not got the core
I
keyword.
was literally about to say, and they've not got core, so that is a problem. I like Vindicators.
I was going to talk about this bad boy
Yeah,
first.
you speak about Land Raider.
We know it already, but I just want to talk about how much I love this change. It's a great change. We're now in the world of Toughness 9.
Yep.
Welcome everybody, embrace the change. Land Raiders are back. They are back with a vengeance. 2 up armor save, Armor of Content, Toughness 9.
Now you're going to speak positively of Armor of Contempt.
Oh yeah, just for this one instance.
Just for this one
Because I've wanted Land Raiders to come. I'm a big fan of Land Raiders.
Yeah, it's an iconic unit.
Want it back, it feels back. So Toughness 9, 2 up armor save, 16 wounds, minus 1 AP for the Armor of Content, but it has the Soul Shatter Last Cannons, which is 4 Strength 9, minus 3, D6 plus 2 damage, which are better than Last Cannons.
Yes, and I think that's going to be. They needed it. They had to have it. They had to have it.
And it coming in at only a mere 265 points, I'll be stacking one of these in almost every Chaos list.
Yeah.
Because not only has it got good firepower, really hard to shift, I think your opponent will look at it and go, I'm sick of those last cannons shooting me every turn.
Yeah.
And they'll struggle to kill it. They will. These are still killable.
Yep.
But the amount of firepower you'll have to dedicate is quite a lot.
It's quite a lot. I still quite like the Chaos Vindicator, though. Now looking at it, I'm a little bit. The problem with Chaos Vindicator has been improved because it's now D3 plus 3 shots, but the D6 damage is swingy and long beam blast. They do have their shields, which gives them +1 to the armor, so essentially they've got a 2-up save. I think it's cool. I can't remember the price of Vindicator. If it's 160, I'd say it's fine. Any higher, I'm going to probably move into the realm of Land Raider. So I'm just going to quickly check that. Where's the Vindicator? 130 points, but you have to pay 10 points. So 140 points.
Nah, join the Land Raider Club.
Okay, it was 120 points. You could
Doesn't
have
matter.
2 of these for nearly the same price.
Yeah, but
you could have 2 of them for cheaper if you don't take the shield.
Nah, I think.
Alright. Predators. I've not even looked at the Predator, but I don't actually care.
You could roll 1 damage, that's guaranteed 3 damage.
You could roll 1 damage.
Guaranteed 3
You're
every
absolutely
time.
right in that one. I'm the Defiler and stuff, everything. I'm not sold. So I'll get on my rant at the end about what I think about the Codex should be in the future.
Basically, the demon engines are not really changed.
Yeah,
they still got the same old problems they suffered from before.
I've heard the Lord of Skulls is a bit improved in that one, and the Nocholith. The problem is with giving loads of your army invul saves is that Armor of Contempt has really made it a lot more redundant.
I'll briefly touch on the Helldrake. Helldrake has its purposes again, still probably a bit too much points for what it actually achieves.
How many points is it?
About 165. But it does have the nice addition, against the aircraft, it's now damage 4 in combat, which is not bad.
Well, if your opponent brings an aircraft, it's going to be a pain.
So yeah, but again, completely situational. Its Flamer is still not that great. The Hades cannon is still not that great. But if a person does bring a flyer, then it will go munch time and it will probably munch it.
Yep.
Right, rant time.
Right, so that's kind of the end of the Chaos Space Marines, and my overall, so we'll go with my thoughts first. Overall, I think in terms of rule-wise, better, because you couldn't get much worse than the last one.
Well, you couldn't, it was always a step up.
Was archaic. This does seem tighter in many ways. I love how they put the supplements in the book.
Yeah.
You want to play Iron Warriors? Well, they did mess up the second part of the rule, but you do have stratagems and things that feel more thematic, which
Fully
is
agree.
very cool. They have looked at some of the units and really fixed them in some ways. My main problem with Chaos Space Marines and the ideology they probably had in the past couple of years is that they've pushed Demonkin and Demon Engines and Cultists a lot. So what I mean by that is, you know, we're going in the past 10 years, we've got the Mauler Fiends, we've got the Forge Fiends. In the past couple of years we've had improved Obliterators, we then had the guy that improved Demonkin. It feels like that this is not a Chaos Space, and then the recent one is obviously Cultists. We've got new Cultists, we've got the HQ Cultist, and as Chaos in total, I think that's very cool. But I now feel this isn't a Chaos Space Marine book. I feel this is Chaos Mortals.
Yeah, it's 2 books put into one.
It's 3 books in one, I think, because remember when they brought out the this thingy spear thing, and they had a small Demonkin book?
Yes.
So you now have Demonkin, which I feel should be your Obliterators, your Forge Fiends, your Mauler Fiends, your Master of Possession, that's his name. You then have your Cultists, which could be Lost and Damned. give their Dark Commune, have your cultists, have the new Traitoris Militarum, I think they're called. They're not in the book. There's going to be people annoyed at that. There should be a Lost and a Damned army. Have, like, Genestealer Cult, have your Traitor Lehman Russes and stuff.
Yep.
I feel there's not, and I've said this for a long time, and people can fight me on it, there's not enough Chaos Space Marines.
There is not.
And I'm angry about it, and I'm always going to be angry about it.
So you
I don't
be.
care for demons, I don't care for cultists. I want my Traitor. Actually, I do like Lost and Damned. I played that in Eye of Terror campaign. But I want it as a separate army.
Yeah.
I want this to be more Chaos Space Marines. I love the updates and the models I've done in the years, great. But I want, this is people, this is going to trigger people. I want an update like Primaris, but only for models. I want some innovation. They got Blade Guards. I want Blade Guard as Chaos Space Marines. Massive halberds, massive shields. That would be cool as a anvil unit of the elite section. I would love it. I would love it, David. But I didn't get it, and that'll be the next thing.
So I fully agree with all of it. If I was to give you my honest thoughts, it's very, very quick. I'm not impressed by the book overall. I think this book has its issues, it has its problems. It doesn't feel there's enough being given to Chaos players just yet to justify the weight and the previous Codex treatments. I love the new character design for how, like, Abaddon's working and how they've designed the book in general as well, by how they do the legions and stratagems.
I think that going forward they should make books like this.
But final thoughts, it's mid-table, it's definitely lacking.
There might be people who can break this book, fine, but in terms of feel of being a Chaos Space Marine, I'm still not feeling it, David. I'm still not feeling it. I don't want a Dark Commune. I want some more Chaos Space Marines.
Well, we'll save you from us ranting anymore.
Yeah, I could go on.
What we'll do is put in the comments down below when you finally get your own copy. Let us know what you think when you've had a look through it. Do you agree with our opinions? Do you disagree? Really interested to hear what you all think. That's our first impressions. Again, we're not doing a full overview because it's already been leaked and everything's seen it there.
6 months ago.
But yeah, thanks for watching. Comment, share, like and subscribe, and we'll see you again soon on one of our Tabletop Assault Battle Reports.